Just getting everything set up, making sure you can hear things. Let me get my... Fix this real quick. Oh, hey. Can everybody in the chat hear me? All right. Okay. Awesome. The goat. What's up, guys? So I got a computer over here, so I'm going to be looking all over the place. And it's a little delay, so I'll be able to see myself what I'm doing. That's magical. Let's a little bit more over here. That's my head in there. A little low. I wish I could a little higher. That's what I needed to do. Go a little higher. Oh, but how's about right there? Still, I don't like it. Let's see what I can do here. Oh, hi. Got my soundproofing shenanigans over here. My head's pretty bright. I could fix that too. With my awesome lights. I got that. There. There we go. That's a little better. That's a little better. Let me move my cutting board over instead of continually moving the camera over. I'll check chat in a minute when I can. If you've got, let's say you've got arugula or you've got any ingredients that need washing or anything, go ahead and do that now. Make sure you've washed your hands. I gave you a prep list, an ingredient and equipment list. So make sure you got that fun stuff ready. Let's see. That beautiful face. Oh, well, thank you. Becoming a pro live streamer, working on it. Thanks, Caitlin. What's up, Ninja? Bring at work, I'll be cooking right next to Chef Mike. I wish I had a Gordon Ramsay kitchen, so this is just my Northwest Chicago suburban kitchen, but, you know, I make do with what I got. That's all right. We're saying some smart fridge or something. What's up, Johnny? Awesome. Well, how many? 25 watching. That's 24 more than I thought. So we'll give it 4 more minutes, and then we'll start going. I am going to do a lot of prep work over here. The first thing we're going to do is start cooking some onions, because that's where caramelizing onions is going to take a little longer. But when we start getting into burger cooking on the stove, I will move the camera and hopefully not knock over all my lights and all that fun stuff. Hopefully everything looks okay. I still got a little bit of a glare. What are you going to do? What you gonna do? Hype. What's up, Tom? What's up, Rick? Zard. May. Dark, I love you. Please upload a video. Oh, I will absolutely upload this. So this will be uploaded. It'll have the same prep list, ingredient list, and equipment list as I sent out. It was on the Facebook invite and in the bio. As far as cooking instructions, though, you're going to have to watch the video. See what I did there? Smart. Ready to cook? Awesome. 3 more minutes. Hey, that's okay. You could just watch too. I don't mind. This is, in fact, the same kitchen where I record Chef Mike Does Stuff. Because it's my house, and that's what happens. I still don't like this angle. I think I had everything set up for when I had my camera set up, but it was more like now that I'm doing it YouTube live, it's a little more different, but that one looked half bad. Is that a little dark? That's okay. This general area seems to be okay. Let's see, ready to roll. Things are looking great. Thanks, Caitlin. Looking good, baby. Oh, my wifey's in the chat. Hi, Sylvia. That's my wifey. Everybody say hi to Chef Mike's wifey. Looks great. Lighting looks perfect. Looks good. Awesome. Very cool. We'll give it 2 more minutes just so that we don't delay. So yeah, we're just about ready. I've got everything prepped. One of the things, I'm going to go at kind of a leisurely pace, but I am trying to get everything done in an hour. In an hour, you're going to have caramelized onions. You're going to have a garlic and lemon sauce. You're going to have ingredients prepped. You're going to have patties formed, cooked. You're going to build the sandwich, and then we are going to eat the said sandwich. Maybe I'll leave a couple seconds if the chat wants me to hold up for a minute or two, but it's going to be hard just because I don't want to delay some of the other folks that are going faster. You might see a cable. Yeah, I've got the lav mic on so that I can move a little bit. Looks good line-wise. Hi, Chef Wifey. Hi. Awesome. 38 people watching live. That ain't bad at all. I was expecting 1, my wifey. She was actually going to be here today, but the kids are a little sick, and knowing that they would make a lot of noise during live video shoots, they're at Babsha and Jaju's house, the grandparents, her parents. And then once I'm done, I'm going to eat one of the burgers and deliver the other burger as payment to Babsha and Jaju. Yes, Sylvia equals chef wife. That is correct. Nice. 12:59. All right, we're going to get going in 1 second. This is the first official live video of Chef Mike Does Stuff. 1 o'clock. We're ready to rock. Welcome, humans. It's a pleasure. Welcome to Chef Mike Does Stuff Live. It's going to be pretty much just like a Chef Mike Does Stuff recorded video because I don't have a script. I'm pretty much doing it live, and then I just cut to get a different camera angle. So the same amount of times I'm going to flub what I say or mumble or repeat myself or say the wrong thing. It's just going to happen. That's how we're going to do it. But today, we are going to make 2 fancy burgers within this hour. They will be big old half-pound gourmet burgers, depending on what bun you got. I've got an onion bun, which is delicious. And then we're going to have Munster cheese, caramelized onions, a kind of a garlic, yogurt, lemon sauce, arugula, some dry brined tomatoes and cucumbers. It's going to be delicious. So, we're going to get started. Everybody in the chat, we all ready to rock? I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to keep also looking over here awkwardly because I have the chat stream over here. But I won't be looking at it all the time. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is start with our onions. We're going to start cooking those onions right away. If you in your house, make sure you've washed your hands. You're going to want to turn a fan on just in case you start burning stuff. It's just something I do all the time. But if you watched my caramelized onion video, we're going to do the exact same thing. So take your onion, whatever kind of onion you have, white, yellow, red. It might be a little harder with green onions. If you got shallots, that'll work. But you're going to take the onion. You're going to take your knife. Hopefully you have that ready and sharp. You're going to cut both ends off. All right? Yes, both ends. Because we're going the easy route. All right? Both ends are off. And then you're going to cut right down the middle of that side right there. Like so. At this point, what I want you to do, walk over to your stove, turn your stove on. Oh, I'm caught up. Turn the stove on. Turn your fan on. Okay, so the pan is getting warmed up. You might hear the fan in the video. Sorry about that. The pan is going. I am going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. If you have vegetable oil, if you've got butter, if you've got margarine, avocado oil, whatever you want. So get that in the pan. So your pan is warming up. Once we cut these onions, they're going to go into that pan. So that pan will be warmed up. I take the outer layers off. So you just got this inside here. We're all going to start crying together Don't worry about that part. I will not judge, just like you don't judge me. Okay, I keep all my little trimmings in the bag where I bought the onions, and I, kind of keep it closed because there's onion peels in there. So, if you watched my previous Chef Mike Does Stuff caramelized onion video, you know we are going to cut it on an angle across so all the pieces are kind of the same length. Might be hard to see here, but I'm coming at it at an angle like so. You could dice them, you could cut them real thick, you could cut them real thin. However you want to do it for your burger, go right ahead. I do like my caramelized onions kind of a little thinner, on the thinner side, just because they cook down. They kind of hold together like almost a schmear or a paste. That's just how I like them. I usually prefer Vidalia onions, so those actually, I think they're technically really sweet just because they don't have the same stuff in the onion that makes you cry. So that kind of like the burn. Sulfur, I think is what it is. I don't know. Somebody can fact check me. All right, onions. We're going to keep cutting this onion. Almost done. You could pick up your cutting board, move it to the pan, and put your onions in. I'm going to take the pan, move it to this cutting board. It's going to be super simple. Okay. Like so. You may have a little bit extra of some of these ingredients because as much as I'd like to buy a half an onion, that's just not how it works. You know your pan is hot when the oil is very fluid. It's probably hard to see. It's got little leggies on it, and you'll hear it. Yes. Already smells delicious. I'm going to constantly remind you to stir the onions so that we do not burn them. You are going to start this on more of a medium-high heat like we did. Let it go for about 5 minutes. We're basically sweating the onions. They're going to turn translucent. Well, we're removing the moisture from the onions. So they will be, translucent and cooked down. And we're going to keep cooking them throughout the entire episode. So then you'll have caramelized onions in the end. The other stuff I'm going to add, let me check my little list right here. Pinch of salt. I got my salt right here. Into the pan. To quote Emeril Lagasse, where I buy my onions, they don't come seasoned. He was definitely a big motivator back when I was a young lad. Pinch of black pepper. Like so. I am going to add some chili flake. Now, you've seen some other episodes. I have what's known as Aleppo chili flake. They're kind of mild, medium heat, not super hot. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And that's cool because that'll cook down with the oil and the liquid and it'll really season everything through. And then I've got smoked sweet paprika. That is going in the pan as well. Now on your prep list, you also have Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce. We're going to add that maybe when there's about 5 minutes left. All right, got a spoon in there. Start moving those bad boys around. Like I said, a little bit later, we're going to come back to the stove when we cook the burgers. But just to expedite things, I'm not moving the camera just yet. But you can hear it. I know you can hear it. So these are looking good. Onion down. Be careful. Don't burn yourself. And if you do, at least if I do, I'm not going to tell you. Rinsing my hands. Got my towel. I'm going to put that on about a medium heat. And we're going to let that go. Like I said, I'm going to keep reminding you to stir the onions. All right, so we got everything in there. We're now going to slice our tomatoes and our cucumbers. And the reason we're doing that now is because I'm going to dry brine the tomatoes. I've seen some discussion on the internet of people saying that they do not like tomatoes in whatever they're doing. That's because you probably either didn't have a good tomato or you're doing it wrong. So this is, if you're making a BLT, if you're making salsa, this is something I do every time. So I'm going to make these nice thin slices. Okay, I'm going to go for about yay thin. I might do 2 to 3 per burger. We'll see how it looks. Okay. I'll probably do just 2. These are, let's go 3. Why not? I'm cutting them thin enough. That one's no good. If you make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Doesn't matter. I think I said this one too. We're not going for Michelin stars. We're going to feed yourself and your family. Don't matter. All right. So I've got my tomato slices right there. Now's a good time to stir your onions. As you can see, they're already starting to get a little bit brown. We're going to let them go on that medium-high heat for just another couple minutes. And then we're going to turn them bad boys down and they're going to cook for the rest of the way. The reason kicks up a gag reflex. Well, by all means, you change this to however you want. If tomatoes are hitting the gag reflex, you better be careful. I can smell the onions from across the world. Oh, is it jiggling? Is the phone jiggling when I walk? Just a little bit. Also, like I said, I am wired to the phone. So that's probably why it's getting a little jiggle. I apologize for that. We'll have to figure out a way to fix that in the future. So, you got your tomato slices. All I want you to do is sprinkle just a little bit of salt evenly across each one. Okay? You do a little over the top, flip them. Do it on the bottom. Only salt. We're using this for function and flavor. Flavor, because now it's going to taste even more delicious than it normally does. But function, what's happening is some of the moisture from the tomatoes are coming out. If you have really, let's say, underripe tomatoes that are really firm, this is actually going to soften them up. So it's going to have a much better flavor and texture in your burger, which is why I'm doing that. There's a lot of juice on your cutting board. Give it a wipe. Make sure to stir them onions. Okay. So I know it's probably a little hard to see, but they're starting to get translucent. So these are basically we sweat these onions. This is a regular culinary step that you do a lot of times, but we're going to caramelize these. So now I'm going to turn the heat down to kind of a medium-low. Okay, we're still going to keep stirring those, every occasion that we can, just to make sure we're not burning anything, but we're going to let those go until it's burger time, which is also a wonderful video game. All right, cucumbers. You got English cucumbers, I leave the peel on. If you've got regular cucumbers like these, I do peel them. You could do a fancy, some people run a fork on the outside if you want to be fancy. Some people might, alternate how the peels, you peel one, move so that there's like a nice look to them. I don't care. I'm going to just do a really crappy job because it doesn't matter. Isn't that great? You could do it any way you want. And I'm going to I'll probably have about 8 pieces all together. I think that'll fill a bun pretty nice. We're going to cut them relatively thin since there won't be layered. I don't know, that's maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, like so. I'm not even looking at a camera. There we go. So I'm going to have 8 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that one's not the best cut. I'm going to give that one a little extra. Boom. One of the awesome things about this recipe, too, is all these extra ingredients, the produce or whatever, the extra dressing, cool it off and make a salad out of it. I'm going to save that cucumber for later. So you will be able to use some of these ingredients there. All right. Our tomatoes and cucumbers are prepped. Your tomatoes have been salted. Now's a good time to stir your onions. I don't know if you can see that, but we're starting to get the browning. As long as it's not literal burnt black, this could be super dark brown. Keep stirring it. That brown is going to kind of mix in with the rest of the onions and keep going and just keep going. If you start burning it, you will kind of know the difference. You will smell the burning. Okay? Onions doing their thing. Let me check my little list here. Sliced tomatoes and cucumbers, salted. Awesome. Next, we're going to make the garlic sauce. So this is probably, I wouldn't call it difficult, but this is the step that's going to take maybe a little more time than the rest. I am going to take in a bowl. You should have Greek yogurt and you should have mayonnaise. Let me check the chat real quick. Really nice looking tomatoes. Awesome. I wouldn't say it jiggles. I'd say it has that Hollywood camera shake technique. Perfect. That's great. I hate onions. Don't even eat them. Crappy job are my specialty. Awesome. Oh, they're using different cucumbers. Yes, some of the cucumbers, like an English cucumber, usually each cucumber is like wrapped in plastic, and that skin is a little like more tender. It's not as thick. Where the cucumbers, at least what we're getting in the U.S., what we would know as a standard cucumber, has a little bit thicker of a peel. You don't even need to peel them if you don't want to. Doesn't matter. In your bowl, we've got mayonnaise here. We've got probably a half cup going into the bowl. Greek yogurt, full fat Greek yogurt. One of the things about Greek yogurt, it is a little sour. So if you are, and I believe somebody is using regular yogurt out there. Somebody asked me ahead of time what they should do. Regular yogurt is not going to be as sour, so you may want to add a little bit more lemon juice when we get to that step. Remember to stir your onions. Those are looking good. I would eat them right now, but we still got a good 45 minutes of them cooking. I'm actually going to turn down my stove just a little bit because I got a little powerful burner there. Okay, so we've got the yogurt. We've got the mayonnaise. Done with the spatula. In this bowl, I'm going to do a nice pinch of black pepper. Or if you've got the grinder, I actually grind this ahead of time because the salt and pepper I have is really fine and I didn't want to use it. Nice pinch of salt. Now remember to here, we've got salt and stuff in our sauce. We've got salt in the tomatoes. We've got salt in our onions. When we season our burgers, you might not need to go super heavy. We are absolutely going to season those. But remember, with all the components you're adding to this, be mindful of the spices and seasonings you're using so that you don't overdo it. I'm going to add, on the list I had fresh thyme and fresh oregano. I could not find any at the store. So I've got maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of dried oregano. I got 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe even less, of ground thyme, just because that's all I had. That's going in the bowl. Let's see. I can't eat cucumbers anymore. There's so many. You could do cabbage. You could do like crispy onions. You could something to add crunch to it. Potato chips. I don't know. Anything you want. Really, I'm using the cucumber for a crunch component. You could add, like I said, crispy bacon. That might be delicious as well. Next thing we're going to do is our garlic. 2 cloves of garlic. One of the funny things I saw on the internet, somebody said 2 cloves of garlic. Oh, so you mean like 9. And in a normal case, I would say yes. But for this case, we're making a little bit of sauce. So be careful not to overdo it. And in the case of something like if you're cooking marinara sauce, which a lot of times that's why you're putting a boatload of garlic in. When you cook garlic, the burn dies down, all right? If you want your dish to have a really strong garlic flavor, you add it right at the end. For this sauce is not being cooked, so these 2 cloves of garlic are going to give you that garlic burn that you want. Should have said that we grow in our garden over here. No one really knows of them, but they make great cucumber snacks. So use those cucumbers you're growing in your garden. That's even cooler to be able to stir your onions, by the way. To grow the things that are going in your food. That's fantastic. All right, so we got our garlic here. If you have a garlic press, you can do that. If you don't have fresh garlic, use dried garlic. Use this garlic in the jar. You can use garlic powder. You can use granulated garlic. If you don't want garlic in this, don't even put it in. So I'm going to mince this. So basically, I'm going to just cut the heck out of it until it's nice and fine and little tiny pieces. Especially garlic in a fresh, sauce where it's not being cooked. The finer it is, the finer you cut it, and you've seen some chefs like mash it on the cutting board. When you mix it in the sauce, it's going to be a lot more evenly dispersed throughout the sauce. If you have these huge chunks of fresh garlic, when you bite into them, it's kind of like a hot spot where you're going to go, oh, and it's going to melt your face. I am certainly not opposed to that, if that's what you want, but just be aware that that could happen. So like I said, if you're making marinara or a cooked thing with garlic and you want that garlic burn, you need to add that garlic right at the end so you're not cooking out that burn. All right, garlic has been minced. Putting it in the bowl. Last thing we're going to do, other than if we taste it and need to add other things, is our lemon. I put on the ingredient or on the equipment list, if you have a microplane, so some of you fancy people, it's like a really fine grater that'll shred the outside. You may have a zester, so you can zest the outside of a lemon. If you're a bartender or whatever, a lot of times they will use a zester for garnish on drinks and stuff like that. But what we're going to do to make it a little simpler for you is take that peeler again. You're going to peel that outside of the lemon. There's a bunch of that white on the inside. You do not want that. You want to use your peeler, so that's the outside, that's the inside, and get just the outside lemon portion. That is the zest. Whenever I'm putting lemon in something, I almost always use the zest because it is a different flavor than the lemon juice. The fresh lemon juice, I think we're all aware what that tastes like. Very sour. The lemon zest, to me, tastes more like if you had like a hard candy that tastes like lemon or lemon oil, where it's not that sour tart burn, but it's more that candy lemon. And when you mix the two together, you have a much more interesting, delicious, lemony flavor in your sauce. So I layered all my little peels. I probably only did half, because once again, you cannot buy half a lemon, and if you can, I mean, that's awesome. And I'm going to cut the heck out of it into little tiny pieces. Let's see, I've always added more garlic than called for in a recipe. Smart. See, zester in the cocktail station. Very smart. Or if you have a peeler, that works. Or if you're good with a paring knife, I mean, you can just cut the outside of it very carefully if you're a pro-level knife user, and get the zest off that way. The best thing to use, though, is a microplane, because you just grate it over the bowl. Comes right out. You don't have to cut it anymore because it's already like a really fine piece in there. And I do have one, but I am, of course, choosing not to use it because we're trying to keep it simple. That's how Chef Mike does stuff. So I'm going to keep cutting it. It's just about ready. One of the other things I want to mention before I forget is, yes, I am cooking these burgers inside on a nonstick pan. Normally, I would go outside and grill. A lot of people either don't have a grill or it's a little more inconvenient to go outside and do that. So we're cooking indoors. And that's why I chose to do it that way. We've got our lemon zest into the bowl. Now would be a good time to stir those onions of yours. Let me give a little rinse off my hands. Man, the back of my head looks so stupid. Anyone else just love the word zest? Zest is a great, fancy word. Fancy word. All right, let's take a look at these onions. You can see how much less onions we have now. All right, we cooked probably half the amount, but we are going to keep on cooking. You still got a good 30 minutes on those onions. Next thing we're going to do for our sauce. You actually roll the lemon on your cutting board on your counter, which actually just kind of loosens the juice on the inside so that when we squeeze it, makes it a little easier. Be careful, lemons have little seeds in them, so if you don't want the seeds to go in, first thing I do is if there's visible ones, because they're all hiding in there, go ahead and get those out. I'm not going to use this whole half of a lemon. I am probably going to do, it'll probably be a tablespoon of lemon juice. And like I said, if you're not using Greek yogurt, if you're using just mayonnaise, maybe put a little extra of the lemon juice in there. So I'm doing this over my hand just to make sure that no seeds get into my sauce, because I don't want to bite into a seed. And as you can see, I have one seed in my hand that I'm going to put in my little... I use the bag that I buy the produce in as my little garbage for the meantime. Obviously, you can compost that. You can do whatever you need to do. And now, I am going to stir this. Yes. My wife loves this sauce. I make just like flank steak or skirt steak, and I use this exact same sauce on that. Just like on a pita with this sauce, with romaine lettuce. It's delicious. Everybody, if you got a spoon, taste it. If you're cooking for yourself and your hands are clean, dip your finger in it and give it a little... If you're the only one eating it, that's okay. I want just a little more salt. Just a touch. Ooh, there's that garlic. Mm-hmm. See, you still get... 2 cloves of garlic is going to give you some of that burn. Awesome. So this bad boy, done right there. So, all right. Onions are cooking. We've got our tomatoes and cucumbers prepped. We've got our sauce made. The next thing we're going to do is burgers. I think we might be done a lot quicker than an hour, which is great. Let me look at some chat. Let's see what we got. Anything I should add if I only have lemon juice? Just the lemon juice is just fine. Like I said, you might miss a little bit of a more robust lemon flavor, like that candy lemon in it. But if you don't have lemon zest, don't even worry about it. Let's see. Good luck. Yes, I'm going to start. Can you start over? Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to start right over. Let's see. Cool. Awesome. Next thing we're going to do. So this cutting board right here, the last thing we're going to do is form our patties on it. We are not using this cutting board for anything else after forming these patties. So it's okay because that we did other things on it. Cross-contamination. Everything on this cutting board is going to be cooked from this point on. Once I'm done forming the patties, I am going to move the cutting board out of the way. If you only have one cutting board, you're not comfortable with that, you could build these burgers on a plate, or you can do parchment, foil, whatever you want to do there. Kidding, of course. My onions turned very dark brown already. Turn that, if your onions are really dark brown already, turn down your stove to as low as it can go. So like, these are pretty dark brown already. I've cooked onions like this. If you've seen my Chef Mike Does Stuff video for caramelized onions, you could keep this going until it's like, this will be like 6 spoonfuls of onions. Just keep cooking them down, but just make sure that you're not burning them. So maybe, turn that stove down a little more. Making sure my thing's jiggling again. Okay, so we're gonna form the patties. Your meat should be refrigerated. Hopefully it is. I've got ground chuck. I've got 80-20. That is an incredibly common and standard lean to fat ratio for burgers, for meatloaf, for meatballs. If you have any health concerns, if you're using a different type of meat, it might be a little drier. There might be some other things you need to do to it. But this is actually 1.2 pounds of meat. 9 or 10 ounce patties. So those are beefy. Pierogies sound great. Yes. Is that Lowski? Yes. Pierogies and those caramelized onions, Polish sausage, bratwurst, hot dogs. I've used those caramelized onions. I've stuffed like little potatoes, covered it with bacon and cheese. Like, you could use these caramelized onions on everything. My wife is very, very Polish, but I am Polish as well. And my family growing up, we were not, let's say, chefs or super fancy. But one of the most delicious things is you get a thick cut piece of bologna, you grill it real hard, so nice and charred, and then you smother it in caramelized onions. It is delicious. Poor Polish man steak, I guess? I don't know. So, we've got our beef here, okay? There's a little... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was something on my beef, but my phone has like a little chat message thing on it. So, you're going to split your 1 pound of beef right in half. And even if you have a little more, that's okay. Now, for the style of burger we're making, we do not want to pack and compress this super hard. Basically, we're taking the ground meat, how it was kind of formed at the store or wherever you picked up your ground meat from. It's extruded in a meat grinder, and I don't want to like mash it into a form. The reason why, my theory is, when there's little pockets in this meat, it'll trap moisture, it'll trap fat, and it'll have a juicier burger as opposed to a very strong, dense burger. On the flip side, if you are doing that smash burger style, which is a much thinner patty, which is equally as delicious, that is less juicy, but there's a lot more sear on those patties. That's just another way of doing it. Also delicious. All right. Now's a good time to wash your hands real quick and stir your onions so that they don't burn. My dad used to work in a meat place. They're great quality. Nice. Polska! Baked potato with onions, bacon, cheese, sour cream, and horseradish. Smart. Dan, if anybody asks you if you're God, you say yes. Everybody knows this. All right, so first we're going to mix our onions as to not burn them. If your onions still seem a little dry to you, maybe add just a little more oil. Olive oil, salad oil, butter, whatever you got there. So we've got our 2 burger patties. These are going to be some thickens. That's a big patty right there. This is the last thing I'm using this salt and pepper for. So yes, I did just touch the meat, but I am going to season with these, and that's the last thing I'm doing with it. So salt and pepper on both sides. Now remember that you don't have to go overboard because a lot of the things that we have in this burger are already seasoned. I am not going to Salt Bay because if you Salt Bay, I don't want spices down my hairy arm then going into the food. That's kind of ridiculous. But chefs do it a little higher to evenly disperse what you're sprinkling. That's why they do that. So, I mean, it looks fancy too. What are you going to do? I am going to eat so much of this burger here. All right, I flipped it. Salt on the other side. Like so. Easy peasy. All right. Burgers have been seasoned. I'm getting rid of those. I'm rinsing my hands real quick. I'm having that as a quote. Fact number 1203. Salt Bay got exposed. I mean, I'm sure if you wash your hands and arms, it's perfectly fine as far as food safety. I just want to touch the ingredients if I'm cooking for other people as little as possible with my bare hands. If I'm cooking for myself, it doesn't really matter. I mean, to some extent. All right, so these bad boys, these are going to be so good. We're still going to let them cook a little longer. Now, yes, I am using a non-stick pan to cook these burgers. I seldomly do that unless I am helping somebody else, people who are a little less experienced. I might actually use a standard pan. There's a little more difficulty because it could stick and all those things, but we are going to go with non-stick just to make it easy for you. So, once again, we are going to turn this pan on high heat. One of the things I'm going to do, you do not have to do this. I add just a drop or two of oil in the pan. The only reason I'm doing this is to make sure my pan is hot enough when we start cooking. Like I said before, once you could hold your hand over, but some of you might not have that ability, or it might not be as comfortable for you. So we've got our pan getting super hot. So the pan's going to be really hot. Once the burgers go in the pan, though, we are going to turn it down to a medium. These bad boys are pretty thick, so just need to be cautious. While that's heating up, if you have any questions, if you're cooking along, please let me know in the chat, and I will try to answer those before we move forward. Is mixing digestive biscuits bits with the patties to improve texture an urban legend? Well, a digestive biscuit, because I did live in Virginia Water, Surrey, in the UK for a little bit, so you're talking about cookies. If I'm doing a meatloaf or meatballs, or if I have a very lean meat that I'm using, yes, I might use like breadcrumb or something like that I'll soak in milk to mix through the patty. Basically, you're emulating what those fat pockets do. They release moisture and help with like tenderness. I don't know if necessarily grinding up cookies into this or digestive biscuits. You do you. But if you have, let's say, a not sweet one, it's more of like a cracker, more of a savory biscuit. You could grind that up. The one thing you might want to do, anytime I'm doing something mixing this meat, you might want to cook it a little more. But I'm going to cook mine about medium, maybe a little closer to medium rare. You cook it however you guys want it to be done. Yes, I got child locks. I got a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. They are incredibly annoying, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Yeah, meat density. So smash burger, like I said, is very different than the kind of burger we're making here. Like I said, You know, people say once you start cooking a burger or a steak, not to press it down. 100% agree. The difference with a smash burger, though, is you are adding the force before it even starts cooking. You're trying to get as much of that meat on the hot surface as possible to get all that delicious browning on there. Like I said, it's just another great way to make a burger, but you will not get a medium rare burger that way. That will certainly be well done. So if you do like well done burgers, that might be a better way for you to do it. I'm making these big honkers here is just an option. You can do it however you so desire. Gonna make some baked chicken tenders tonight. Any tips? Baked chicken tenders? I mean, they're not gonna be as crispy as you say, let's say a fried one. But if you have any like non-stick pan spray of any kind, just spray them down before you put them in the oven. That will help crisp them up a little bit, if that works. Unsalted soup crackers, very smart. Oreo burger. You could give it a try. Not sure if that's gonna work. I have not taught my kids anything yet other than a little bit of like mug cakes and making like putting cookies on trays. My daughter does like to make her own pizza, but we do it with a tortilla and cheese and sauce, but she never eats it, so we just make these and then okay, here we go. She'll do quesadillas and stuff like that. But all right, my pan, because I've been talking, is too hot. Oil is smoking a whole bunch, so I'm going to let it cool off for a second, but then I'm going to put my burgers right in and turn the heat down. I don't know if you can see the smoke. That's why I put that little bit of oil in there. If this was a dry pan, you would not notice the difference there. Okay. Burgers. Oh, actually, how about I do this first? We're going to move the camera. It's that time. Now's a good time to mix your onions. Basically, all we have to do is cook the burger and build the sandwich. Here we go. Moving time. Let's see if I can do this with not knocking stuff over. There's my head. Do. Pull that along. And yeah. Okay. We're doing burger part now. I turned it back on high. Gonna add my burger patties to this pan. Beautiful. Give it just a little press, and now turn it down to about a medium. Reason I'm turning it down to a medium, because I'm gonna try to cook these medium. If you want these super rare, leave them super high heat, just because you're gonna sear the outside. If you want them well done, turn it down even more than medium. Do like a medium-low heat, just because you want time for that to cook. So that's going. Burgers are cooking. What we're going to do after these burgers are done, we're going to take them out. We're going to set them to the side. I'm going to use this same pan to toast the bun, and then we're going to go ahead and build that burger. So if your cutting board is dirty, remove it from where you're, cooking stuff. Clean up. Catch up if you guys are, still have to do some of the steps. Let me check. What cooking school did I go to? I went to Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. I did get accepted to the Culinary Institute of America. I did not get as much scholarship money as Johnson & Wales. And unfortunately, those schools are super expensive. So let's see. Stuffed burgers? Yes, but I'd rather just put the cheese on the top. I mean, it's a little simpler. There's a lot less things you have to worry about. When did Jeremy? Everyone thinks I look like Dooley, unless we're standing right next to each other. It's been kind of ironic. We're making the burgers without bacon. I know. Usually I put bacon on everything, but that's okay. I think this could be something you do again, maybe on the semi-regular. Absolutely. Somebody told me that it might actually be better to do not on a Friday, like maybe like a Monday lunch or something. So then you have the weekend to get your ingredients and stuff. But yeah, you totally can do that. I'm just going to take a little check here. Oh, I'll give it a little bit longer. I might turn it down just a touch. I like moving the oil around in the pan to make sure that it's kind of evenly, the fat that's rendered from the burger, that's evenly, cooking across there. Now is a good time if you have that Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, whatever you call it. I'm going to add that to the onions. And that's going to give it a little more, even more beefy flavor. If you have a fish allergy or seafood allergy, or you are vegetarian or vegan, Worcestershire, one of the main flavor agents in that is anchovies. So if that's something you do not want to eat, I do not recommend using Worcestershire sauce. There is this stuff called Bragg's amino acid, which is like a vegetarian version of Worcestershire sauce. Oh yeah. Flipping the burgers. Let me hold this up. See that? We got a nice sear on this side. Now I'm not using a lot of force, but I'm just pushing it so that way if the meat like formed or cupped or bowled at all, just trying to get as much contact on the pan as I can. Okay, so those bad boys are going. Get your buns ready because once the burgers are done, I'm going to put them on here to rest for a minute or two while we toast the bun. Also, now is a good time to get out the cheese from the fridge. We're going to want to make sure that there's enough time for the cheese to melt. I am using Munster. Couple reasons why. It's delicious. It melts well. Even though it goes very much against this whole Mediterranean Greek thing I'm doing, I don't care. It's delicious. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that. So now I'm using this spatula. These onions are also looking delicious. We're doing good on timing. Let me check this. Okay, I have that. We're still at about a medium rare. Okay. One of the things we can do right now is how long each side and temp. Well, depending on how thick your burger is, depending on what pan you're using, depending on what kind of stove you have, depending on what the numbers mean on your stove, I'm going to estimate that this is going to take 6 to 7, 8 minutes altogether, about 4 minutes on each side on a medium heat. But this is something you're going to have to play around with because there are really, as much as I'd like to say, oh, cook time, this is all you got to do, there are so many variables in that's another reason why I don't necessarily like to give you a recipe per se. I just want you to like learn and mess it up once and you'll realize like, oh, I probably should have turned the heat down or something like that as a way to learn. So let me check the chat. Weekend of Memorial Day, yes. Worcestershire. Holy cow, that's a hard. I have those kitchen towels, awesome. Costco? They might be Costco. On stovetop versus grilling for burgers, do you bring the oven into the mix at all ever? If I am doing a super big fat burger for whatever reason, I usually don't. I am on the team of I'd rather make a burger wider than taller. That's just me. But you can totally just sear it real high heat and then finish it off in the oven. Or you could even reverse sear, is something that I do a lot. Do them in the oven first at a relatively low temperature until it's cooked to about the doneness you want. And then you sear it. I do that with steak quite often. But yeah, there's a couple different ways to do that. You're welcome. Yes, I will put this up on the stream. It might take a while because my internet is not very good. Ground turkey burger with this would be fantastic. Okay. That side is looking delicious as well. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip these one more time because this other side is nice and hot, and I'm going to put my cheese on. Use as much or as little cheese as you want. I've got these nice thick slices of Munster. I'm going to put 2 on because that's how I roll. Like I said, some people are like, why would you pair Munster, which is German, with Greek yogurt and all that stuff? Because I don't care. It's delicious. I mean, I care, but I really don't care. I'm going to use whatever I so desire. All right, so probably 1 more minute on that burger. Oh yeah, these onions are looking just about done. I'm going to turn these onions down to the lowest possible setting. As you can see, think of how much we had in the beginning, and I've got this little like ball of onions, and they're so delicious. Nothing in here, even I don't know how it looks on the camera, to you might look burnt, but there's nothing burnt in here. This is all nicely browned and caramelized. All right. Put your pan on relatively low. I'm going to take these burgers out of the pan. Okay. And right away, go right in with the bun. We are going to toast the bun. Yes, there's a bunch of fat and stuff floating in there. If you're on a diet, this burger is not for you. One of the things about this burger is burger architecture. The bun I am using is very soft. One of my pet peeves is somebody might make something like this and put a big awesome like pretzel roll. Very dense. But a lot of the ingredients that I'm using inside the burger are very tender. If you have a very hard to bite through outside and mushy stuff on the inside, what happens when you bite into that burger? It all comes out the other side. So I very much like a nice soft burger bun when I'm making burgers. Let these go for a little bit. Oh, we are almost, it's almost eating time. Another reason why I like to let these burgers sit is because that moisture and juice is kind of staying in there. It gives it time to rest. But also if you put a super hot, juicy burger on a toasted bun, that toasted bun is going to absorb a lot of that moisture and get a little more soggy. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. If that is how you like it, if that is your preference, by all means do that. That's just not what I am going for. Maybe turn up that heat just a touch. I'm going to turn my onions off because I want them to cool down for a second before I put them on a burger and just eat them a lot. I'm going to eat so much of this burger. Get your plate ready that you are going to build your burger on. So I'm going to put my fancy 2 burgers right on here. So I've got that plate ready. Get your arugula ready. If you have not washed it or cleaned it, do that. I'm going to put it it's in a pretty big bowl here. So this is my arugula. One of the things, and if you are not using arugula, you're using iceberg or romaine, make sure to shred it really fine. The reason, because there's always a reason, is this. I can put more sauce on my burger because I'm mixing my sauce with those greens. If you put just that thin layer of sauce on your burger bun on the top, when you bite into it, a lot of sauce is going to drip out. But just like coleslaw, just like any of those things with shredded stuff with sauce all over it, you can actually put a lot more sauce on your burger without it being as messy. Strategery. So these bad boys are looking pretty good. I've got, oh, here's my mouth. I got a nice little layer of crispiness. So turn your stove off. All right. Those are hot. Be careful. See, I got a nice little crunch on there. Now it is game time. So bring all of your ingredients, at least the ones you have available, to the table, and I am going to move the camera back. Hoyo. Once I have my own studio with multiple cameras or whatever, then I could do cooler stuff. Okay. Let's go. Hold on. Let me get a better. You don't need to see me anymore. We're on burger time. Is that center? Boom! That's a great spot for it. Okay. So, let's get some tongs or a fork. I'm going to use tongs because I have some available. You could put gloves on, whatever. First thing I'm going to do is dress my greens. You're going to have extra sauce. I'm going to use a good tong full, maybe 2. And I'm going to mix my arugula without trying to get it all over the place. Like I said, if you think of, I'm actually going to maybe add a 3rd one. If you add that much of a spoonful of sauce directly on the burger, on the bun, it's going to be very messy. But this allows for a lot more sauce, like I said, to get on the burger. It'll be a lot less messy. Not that you're eating this in your car or anything, but hey. And I get it dressed about yay much. Okay? That's 3 big spoonfuls of sauce. So 1.5 big spoonfuls of that delicious, potent, garlicky, lemony sauce is going on your burger. It's build time. Get your spatula. Put that right here. Here we go. Bottom buns. That's where we're going to start. I'm going to put my burger patties, thinking they're about medium rare, going on the burger. Okay, like so. The next thing I'm going to do is add my caramelized onions. Now you're going to say, wow, that cheese doesn't seem as melted as it should be. Well, I'm putting really hot caramelized onions right on top of it, which is going to keep it melting. And we're keeping the hot food closest to the hot food and the cold food closest to the cold food. Look at these bad boys. I'm going to put a nice dollop right here, because I love caramelized onions. So this is going to be a big burger, but it's going to be delish. Okay? He's got a little heat to it with the chili flake. It's got some umami, which is a beefy flavor type profile. Think of like MSG or those ramen noodle packets, just beef flavor. Okay. Next thing I'm going to add are our dry brine tomatoes. Reason is because unlike cucumbers, I think tomatoes being hot or cold, they totally both work. I'm only going to add 2. Because as you can see, that fits real nice. Boom. Boom. Okay. Next, I'm going to add my cucumbers. If you don't want the cucumbers, add something else crunchy. It's really one of the main things I'm doing is adding this is because it will be crunchy. I cut a lot of my vegetables pretty darn thin because that super tall burger is a pain in the butt. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to add, let me check to make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think I am. I usually forget things all the time, but last thing I'm going to add are the greens. Oh, I'm going to eat so much of this burger. Okay. Yes, they're going to fall all over the place, but you know what the best part is? They go, nom, nom, noms. Okay. And the last thing is that beautiful burger bun top. I'm going to hold the plate up first. Then I'm going to cut one in half, and then we can look on the inside. Okay. Yes, they're huge, but that's what we're going for. Big old fancy burgers. I guess you could say this is a signature. I've made this version many times. Look at this. I got a mess here. I should be cleaning up as I go. Okay. Everybody, does anybody want me to wait a minute while you're cooking along and need to catch up? Because I want to eat this with everybody. You definitely do not need a side dish with this burger. Absolutely not. Well, my phone is recording the live video, and I have a laptop going for chat, so I don't even know if I'm going to get a picture, but that's okay. What's the number for put finished product? What's the number for put finished product? I don't know what that actually means. Mine looks at least similar to yours. So happy to watch this. What can I do with the spare sauce? All the spare ingredients that you have, mix it together and make a salad. Oh, my daughter says the burger looks delicious. Use that sauce, chicken, shrimp, use the sauce on anything. All right, so I am going to cut this bad boy in half. You could hear the buns got some crunch. Cucumbers got some crunch. Oh, here we go. The big sexy reveal. Honey, I'm sorry if this gets all over the floor. Ooh, that's a little more medium rare to rare. That's okay. But there we go. This is the inside of the burger here. It's closer to medium rare-ish, but that's okay. Oh, baby. Look at that cheese melting. Look at all those layers. This should be pretty cohesive when you bite into it. Oh, yeah. All right, I am done. I am done talking. I'm going to put this burger in my mouth. I'm going to let you know how it tastes. Hopefully those who have cooked along, please take pictures, post it, post the link to this video. I want everybody to make this burger as well. So here we go. Without further ado. Oh, yeah. Mmm. Mmm. Yep. To be honest, it's almost perfect. I could have added just a little more salt. I think it needs just a touch more salt on mine. But that's because I like things salt heavy. Mmm. I bet in my microphone that sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. Definitely saving this vid and wife eat the other one. The ASMR. I'll give you one. Let's see if I can. I'm going to chew this right into the microphone. It's going to be disgusting, but hey, that's okay. Mm. Oh, that is a delicious burger. That burger is so delicious. I hope you make one for yourself and for somebody else because it's amazing. Awesome. Let me rinse my hands again because it's big old, there was a big old crunch. Yes, that's the point. I went for a burger with a lot of different. Did this change? Fixing. Nope. This way. Lav mic. There we go. Okay. Done fumbling around. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the first live cook along with Chef Mike Does Stuff. For anybody who stayed along and cooked along, please let me see a picture of those burgers. That would be fantastic. I think we're good here. I'm going to finish eating this. Then I'm going to deliver the other one to the fam so they can have a delicious burger as well. We are 5 minutes early. Boom! So we got 5 minutes to kill. Do you have any other last minute questions that I may be able to answer? Can I shoot you a simple food question anywhere? Absolutely. Great video, awesome work. Thank you so much. I'm glad it was so much fun. Chef Mike does guitar solo. I dabble a little bit. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed. I got the hard kissy face from the wife, so we're doing good there. You know, I'm successful when she's happy. But I think that's it. I think we are good for today. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, retweet, go in AOL chat rooms, add me to your MySpace top 16. Any of those other ones that I'm not aware of, please let the people know to come and watch Chef Mike Does Stuff. I'm going to keep cooking as long as you guys are still enjoying the videos. Well, thank you guys as well. So until next time, I don't know what I'm cooking next. That's the great part about doing my own YouTube videos at home is I'm going to cook whatever the heck I want, whatever I feel like. So we'll see what I'm doing next. But thank you, everybody. I will be posting this later. So those who did not get to see the whole thing or want to try to make it a little bit later, you can totally do that yourself. So I thought you were just some random person calling him babe. Oh, is she under Milnarchek? Is she under Sylvia Milnarchek or is it Harris? Her maiden name is nice and Polish. Milnarchek. But yes. Bye. It's been a pleasure. All right, I'm logging off and I'm stopping the chit chat. But thank you guys all very much. It was an absolute pleasure. See you next time. Bye. Eat the nom noms.